So picture this for a second. You're watching an Olympic swimmer just slicing through the water with total effortless grace. Or maybe you're watching a master artist laying down the absolute perfect stroke of paint. We see these moments of pure brilliance all the time, right? And they inevitably spark this really deep question for us. We look at these titans, these peak performers, and we kind of can't help but wonder, what is the actual secret sauce here? It's literally the ultimate question. What truly separates the good performers from the absolute extraordinary ones? Is it just some untouchable innate talent they were magically born with? Or is it something way more grounded, like the habits they relentlessly practice every single day? Well, as we jump into this explainer covering the advanced tactics from James Clear's Atomic Habits, we're going to unravel this exact mystery. Talent opens the door, but habits keep you there. Let's just go ahead and completely shatter the myth that innate talent is the only way to reach the top. Yes, genes can predispose us to certain things, for sure, but they absolutely do not predetermine our destiny. A natural aptitude might get you an invite into the room, but it's your daily routines, your automatic responses, your habits that actually keep you in that room. Which brings us to Section 1, the truth about talent and how we align ambition with ability. To really get this, we have to look at the reality of genetics. Maximizing your odds of success is really about choosing the right field of competition. Think about two absolute legends. On one hand, you've got Michael Phelps, the ideal swimmer. The guy competed at 194 pounds, 6'4", with a long back and arms perfectly built for pulling through water. On the other hand, look at Hicham El Guerrouj, one of the greatest distance runners ever. He was an ultralight 138 pounds and 5'10". If Phelps tried to race El Guerrouj on the track, that extra weight would be a massive curse. And if El Guerrouj tried to race Phelps in the pool, his shorter limbs would be a huge disadvantage. The takeaway here is that winning means playing a game where your biology is inherently in your favor. Moving right along to Section 2, Systems over Goals, the process of winning. Okay, so what happens once you've actually found your perfect field of play? Well, you've got to rethink how you pursue winning. Society always tells us to set these specific, massive goals. But here's a profound truth. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Take a look at this concept called the Valley of Disappointment. When we set a goal, we just assume our progress will be a straight line up, right? But as you can see here, the results of our efforts are usually delayed. For months, sometimes years, our results fall way below our expectations. This creates this massive valley where people just feel crushed and they quit. But honestly, that hard work wasn't wasted at all. It was just being stored up. Systems create success. This is exactly why relying purely on goals sets you up for failure. Think about it. If all your hard work is focused on, say, running a marathon, what happens the day after you cross the finish line? The motivation totally vanishes. You get this yo-yo effect and bounce right back to your old habits. But if you fall in love with the system of becoming a runner, you succeed every single time you put your shoes on. You don't have to wait to give yourself permission to be happy. Section 3, the Goldilocks zone, the science of motivation. So, if systems are the key, how do we keep them running when we're just not feeling it? Check out the Goldilocks rule mapped out on this graph. Basically, human beings hit absolute peak motivation when we work on tasks of just manageable difficulty. Like, if you play tennis against a 4-year-old, it's way too easy. You're bored. If you play against Roger Federer, it's impossible, and you just feel anxious. But if you play someone who is your exact equal, you win some, you lose some, and you are entirely locked in. You are right in the Goldilocks zone. When you hit this zone perfectly, you drop into what scientists call a flow state. You're fully immersed. Research actually shows this happens when a task is about 4% beyond your current ability. Take comedian Steve Martin, for example. For 18 years, he expanded his comedy routine by literally just a minute or two each year. He kept the guaranteed laughs, but added just enough new material to stay on that thrilling, slightly terrifying edge of his ability. Stay in the Goldilocks zone. If you want to keep your habits from fading into oblivion, you've got to constantly seek out these little challenges. You need that 50-50 split. Just enough victories to stay satisfied, and just enough mistakes to keep you hungry and working hard. All right, Section 4, overcoming the boredom barrier. Now, even if you totally master the Goldilocks zone, there is a hidden villain waiting for you, and it stops almost everyone. It's not a dramatic failure. It's just the mundane boredom of doing the right things over and over.
An elite weightlifting coach who trained Olympians was once asked what actually separates the best athletes from the rest of us. He didn't say genetics, he didn't say passion, he said, at some point it comes down to who can handle the boredom of training every day. The greatest threat to your success is boredom. We think successful people have this bottomless pit of passion, but the truth is, they feel the exact same lack of motivation you do. They just show up anyway.
So the real question is, which category are you in? Amateurs let life get in the way. They get pulled off course by whatever feels urgent right now. But professionals? Professionals stick to the schedule. You cannot be a fair weather performer, someone who only puts in the work when it's convenient. If a habit actually matters to you, you have to intentionally fall in love with boredom and just put the reps in, no matter what mood you're in. Section 5, the path to mastery, avoiding the autopilot trap. So let's say you survived the boredom. Awesome. But watch out, because there's a huge hidden danger in good habits. The upside of a habit is you can do it without thinking. The downside? You stop paying attention to little errors. You go on autopilot, and your growth completely stalls. The ultimate formula for greatness is this: habits plus deliberate practice equals mastery. Yes, a surgeon needs that first incision to be totally automatic, so they can focus on all the unpredictable stuff. But once that fundamental skill is automatic, you have to return to the effortful work to deliberately build the next layer of excellence.
So, how do you make sure you're doing that? Through strategic reflection, like doing an annual review. Just 3 simple questions: what went well, what didn't go so well, and what did I learn? When you're just grinding out daily habits, it's like looking in a mirror from an inch away. You see every tiny flaw but totally miss the big picture. Stepping back for a review lets you see the entire mountain range instead of just obsessing over one little peak or valley.
Never stop improving. This keeps you incredibly grounded. True long-term thinking isn't about hitting a finish line and then just putting your feet up. It's about committing to this beautiful, unending cycle of continuous refinement. And finally, Section 6, the holy grail of habit change. This is really the culmination of our whole explainer today. If you choose a game aligned with your genetics, if you build a system, master the Goldilocks zone, beat the boredom, and deliberately practice, you reach the holy grail, and that is stacking atomic habits. At first, these tiny changes, like reading one single page or meditating for 1 minute, they feel totally meaningless. But as you layer them, it's like adding grains of sand to the positive side of a scale. Eventually, you hit this magnificent tipping point. Suddenly, the weight of your entire system is effortlessly working for you, rather than against you. Small habits, extraordinary results. That is the ultimate promise here. By shifting your focus away from those distant, fleeting goals and just dedicating yourself entirely to the small, atomic units of your daily systems, lasting success isn't just a fantasy anymore. It becomes a mathematical inevitability. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final provocative question to chew on. Knowing that your trajectory is determined by your daily systems and not your distant goals, what is the one tiny atomic habit you are going to build today